At the heart of this narrative lies a clash of two forces: Jungkook's unrivaled global market value and HYBE's need to maintain its hold on the crown jewel of BTS. In exploring why brands are so eager to pursue him, one must look at the convergence of several critical factors: his unique artistry, his global fan base, his brand reliability, and the measurable financial impact that only he seems to deliver. Taken together, these elements explain why billion-dollar corporations view Jungkook not as an optional figure in their campaigns, but as a necessity. Even as HYBE struggles to manage and control the narrative, Jungkook's rise to individual prominence did not happen overnight. For years, he was recognized as BTS's youngest member, admired for his multifaceted talents in singing, dancing, and even performance direction. But once he began releasing solo music and appearing in independent collaborations, his power as a standalone force became undeniable. Streaming platforms revealed numbers that were once considered impossible for a single K-pop artist. His solo songs broke records across Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music, not only in South Korea, but in the US, Europe, and Southeast Asia. What this demonstrated to corporate analysts was not just fan loyalty, but cross-cultural appeal, a quality that is exceedingly rare. For multinational corporations, this kind of appeal is gold. It means that their campaigns can run seamlessly in diverse regions without the need for localized brand ambassadors. Companies such as Calvin Klein quickly recognized this and moved fast, appointing Jungkook as their global ambassador. The results were staggering. The moment Jungkook's images were unveiled, sales of Calvin Klein apparel surged to record highs. Social media engagement skyrocketed, and the brand's cultural relevance was refreshed almost instantly. Competitors took notice, and from that moment onward, the floodgates opened. The real question is not simply why brands want Jungkook, but why they view him as irreplaceable in an era of countless global celebrities. The answer lies in a combination of credibility, relatability, and universal admiration. Unlike some figures who are known primarily for curated personas, Jungkook embodies an authenticity that translates across cultural boundaries. Fans and consumers see him not only as an idol but as a human being with humility and vulnerability. For brands, this authenticity means campaigns feel natural rather than forced, which is critical in today's skeptical consumer climate. Many celebrities thrive in specific territories. Jungkook, however, has proven his ability to dominate charts and campaigns in the US, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East simultaneously. Billion-dollar corporations operate in multiple markets, and securing one figure who can speak to all of them at once reduces risk and amplifies returns. Demonstrated return on investment, ROI. The Calvin Klein case became an industry case study. Reports indicated measurable spikes in quarterly revenue and market visibility following Jungkook's involvement. When an artist's name alone can sway sales figures for a global company, the value is no longer speculative. It becomes an undeniable business fact. Jungkook has transcended the label of a pop star. He is now perceived as a cultural trendsetter, influencing fashion, lifestyle, and even generational aesthetics. This makes him not just a celebrity endorsement, but a cultural endorsement, which is far more powerful. For these reasons, billion-dollar corporations, from luxury fashion houses to technology giants, are determined to align with him, regardless of cost. For HYBE, this growing demand is both a blessing and a nightmare. On one hand, Jungkook's global power reflects positively on the company, reinforcing BTS's reputation as the most influential music group of its era. On the other hand, HYBE faces a complex challenge: how to manage a talent whose individual demand threatens to outgrow the very structure of the company. There are several layers to HYBE's dilemma: control versus freedom. Brands want direct partnerships with Jungkook. HYBE, however, traditionally negotiates and manages contracts to maintain centralized control. The more corporations insist on working directly with Jungkook, the more pressure HYBE faces to loosen its grip. Equity of BTS members. Within BTS, equity and fairness among members has always been emphasized. Yet, Jungkook's demand is creating an imbalance that may be difficult to ignore. How does HYBE continue to promote the group while managing the undeniable fact that one member is commanding disproportionate attention from global corporations? Strategic risk. If Jungkook were to step away from HYBE in the future, the financial implications could be devastating. Therefore, HYB has every incentive to retain him, even if that means restructuring deals and adjusting long-standing corporate models. What makes this a nightmare for HYB is not simply that Jungkook is wanted, it is that he is wanted so intensely by companies with nearly limitless resources that HYB's usual negotiating power is diminished. Looking ahead, the battle over Jungkook will not be about whether brands want him. It will be about which brands are willing to pay the highest price and adapt the most to his identity. This dynamic is rare in celebrity branding, where companies typically hold the upper hand. In Jungkook's case, the balance of power has shifted. Consider luxury conglomerates such as LVMH or Kering. These companies compete with one another not just in product quality, but in cultural relevance. If Jungkook were to represent one brand, the ripple effect could alter the market perception of its rivals. The same applies to technology corporations like Apple or Samsung, who view cultural icons as gateways into younger consumer bases. In such high-stakes battles, Jungkook is not merely a participant, he is the prize. While this story is deeply rooted in economics, one cannot ignore the emotional undertone. For fans, the idea of Jungkook being courted by billion-dollar corporations reinforces his worth, but also raises concerns. Will the demands of these companies limit his creative freedom? Will his artistic identity be overshadowed by corporate agendas? For HYB, the emotional dimension is equally strong. BTS is not just a business asset, but a cultural phenomenon the company has built from the ground up. Watching Jungkook become the focal point of billion-dollar pursuits must feel like both validation and vulnerability. Validation of BTS's impact and vulnerability in realizing that the company may no longer be fully in control. This tension between emotional resonance and financial ambition makes the narrative compelling. It is not just about contracts and campaigns. It is about identity, loyalty, and the future of one of the most influential figures in modern entertainment. Demographic access. Jungkook bridges multiple demographics: teenagers, millennials, and even older consumers. This wide net of influence is rare for any fashion ambassador. Cultural flexibility. Whether in streetwear, luxury couture, or casual basics, his image fits effortlessly. This versatility means he can represent multiple fashion lines without appearing out of place. Visual virality. Fashion thrives on imagery, and Jungkook's campaign photos consistently become viral, doubling as unpaid advertisements across global social media. What makes this situation more complex for HYB is that other fashion giants, Dior, Prada, Saint Laurent, are unlikely to remain passive. Each of these brands has the resources and ambition to compete for him. If Calvin Klein sparked the race, luxury couture houses are preparing to escalate it, offering long-term contracts and perhaps even co-branded collections to secure his exclusivity. If fashion capitalized first, technology giants are positioning themselves as the next major players. Companies like Apple, Samsung, and Google understand that Jungkook is not just a singer, he is a conduit to digital native audiences. His fan base is hyper-connected, using platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter to amplify his every move. For tech companies, this is an invaluable bridge between hardware, software, and cultural influence. Samsung's advantage. As a South Korean brand, Samsung has a historical connection to K-pop endorsements. A partnership with Jungkook could serve as both a patriotic and global move, strengthening its grip on Asian markets while simultaneously expanding its youth appeal worldwide. Imagine limited edition devices branded with Jungkook's imagery, or exclusive content that can only be accessed through Samsung devices, Apple's counterplay. Apple, meanwhile, thrives on exclusivity and cultural prestige. A collaboration with Jungkook would align seamlessly with Apple's minimalist, aspirational branding. Whether through music integration on Apple Music or special edition AirPods and iPhones, Jungkook could be positioned as a global tastemaker within Apple's ecosystem. Global digital footprint. Jungkook's audience consumes, shares, and creates content at an enormous scale, making him the perfect ambassador for products designed to be showcased online. Cultural positioning. Tech companies are no longer selling just devices. They are selling lifestyles. Jungkook embodies a digital-first lifestyle that resonates across markets to cross-market leverage. A single collaboration can influence not only tech adoption but also entertainment consumption. Given his music career for HYB, the dilemma intensifies because these partnerships often demand deep integration, special products, digital platforms, and long-term cultural alignment. Such deals would give Jungkook unprecedented independence from traditional entertainment structures. Perhaps the fiercest battleground is among luxury conglomerates like LVMH, Kering, and Richemont. These corporations oversee dozens of elite brands: Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Cartier, Balenciaga, and their value is heavily dependent on cultural prestige. For them, attaching Jungkook to one of their flagship labels is not simply about sales, but about defining the direction of global cultured LVMH's potential move. Louis Vuitton has already experimented with BTS as ambassadors, but Jungkook individually represents a more potent opportunity. Unlike a group campaign, an exclusive deal with him could cement Vuitton's position as the ultimate aspirational brand for a new generation, Kering's ambition. Kering, which owns Gucci, Saint Laurent, and Balenciaga, has been aggressive in seeking younger, culturally relevant ambassadors. Jungkook's global fanbase would provide the perfect entry point to strengthen its presence in Asia while refreshing its Western strategies. Global prestige transfer. Associating with Jungkook allows brands to inherit not only his fanbase, but also the cultural legitimacy of BTS's history. Generational renewal. Luxury brands often struggle to remain relevant to younger consumers. Jungkook bridges the gap between old-world prestige and new-world trends. Exclusivity value. In luxury, being associated with the most sought-after figure is itself a form of competitive advantage, regardless of immediate sales numbers. This is where Hybe faces perhaps its greatest challenge. Luxury conglomerates operate with almost unlimited budgets. They can outbid competitors, create bespoke campaigns, and even design contractual terms tailored specifically to Jungkook's needs. The risk for Hybe is that it becomes sidelined, reduced to a facilitator rather than a decision-maker. Another industry that recognizes Jungkook's value is entertainment, particularly streaming platforms like Netflix, Disney+, and Amazon Prime. These platforms are constantly seeking original content that appeals to global audiences, and Jungkook offers a ready-made solution. Imagine a Netflix documentary focused solely on Jungkook's career, or a Disney+ musical special designed around his solo works. Such projects would attract not only BTS fans, but casual viewers intrigued by his status as a cultural figure. The value here lies in content exclusivity. Whoever secures Jungkook could dominate streaming numbers for months. Global subscription growth. Jungkook's involvement could drive millions of new subscriptions, especially in competitive regions like Southeast Asia and South America. Cross-content potential. From music specials to reality programming, his presence offers a wide range of content possibilities. Cultural expansion. Beyond K-pop, Jungkook represents an entry point into broader Korean and Asian entertainment markets, which are increasingly vital for streaming growth. For Hybe, partnerships with streaming platforms can be double-edged. On one hand, they enhance Jungkook's global visibility, indirectly boosting BTS's legacy. On the other hand, if streaming platforms begin negotiating directly with him, Hybe risks losing its role as the central gatekeeper of his image and content across fashion, technology, luxury, and entertainment. One factor unites all of these pursuits. Jungkook is no longer just a performer, but a global identity. He represents aspiration, authenticity, and influence all at once. For billion-dollar corporations, this is an irresistible combination. But for Hybe, the nightmare is not simply that brands want him. It is that each industry is willing to reshape itself for him. They are not asking him to fit their mold. They are adapting their mold to fit him. This inversion of power dynamics places Hybe in an unprecedented position, where its traditional control over branding and partnerships may no longer suffice. While corporations strategize, fans watch with both pride and unease. On one hand, Jungkook's success validates their years of loyalty, proving that he is recognized not just as a singer, but as a global icon. On the other hand, the relentless pursuit by billion-dollar corporations raises fears of overexposure. Will constant campaigns dilute his identity? Will he become more of a brand than an artist? These questions highlight the delicate balance Jungkook must maintain. His strength lies in authenticity, but the more corporations demand his presence, the greater the risk of losing that authenticity. For Hybe, managing this balance is not just a business necessity, but a matter of protecting the very essence of what makes Jungkook valuable in the first place.